has worked hard to try and avoid me saying the words carbon tax, as we saw in the extremely dishonest and fraudulent report from Bell Media-controlled CTV, who's a company that is whose bonds have been downgraded to near junk status as its overpaid CEO empties the books to pay his wealthy friends an unacceptably and unrealistically high dividend.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Crayden. That was Pierre Poilievre calling out CTV, Bell Media, and the corporate cronies who are behind Justin Trudeau's government. When we come back, what was he talking about? And the non-confidence vote is today.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Let's welcome back. So nice to have you here in this rainy Ottawa morning. It's Wednesday, September 25th. What is that, 3 months till Christmas? Seems like it was just June, doesn't it? Boy, we went through that summer, and here we are in the fall. Looks like the rainy season has begun here in Ottawa. And we talking about Poilievre yesterday in the House of Commons. Of course, it was all about the non-confidence motion that will be voted on today. They debated it yesterday, kind of. Before I get into that, though, I just wanted to say a lot of you have been asking about how is my mother doing? She's out on the West Coast, and of course, 3,000 miles away makes it very difficult. And she was taken to the hospital. I actually ordered her to go to the hospital from the nursing home. I didn't order my mother. She's not in any condition to make that decision. I had to tell the nursing home where she's staying to move her to the hospital to save her life, and did not have a very good experience with the hospital initially. But when I asserted myself and my authority in the situation, we started to see results. And since then, the response from this hospital, I'm not going to go into precisely where it is because I really don't need the headache right now. We've got so much going on in my life that the response has been good, especially from the social workers who have linked me up with my mother via video calls and have been visiting her on a regular basis. They keep me updated. The emergency doctor on call has been keeping me updated. She was almost dead because she was not getting the nourishment she needed because she was unable to feed herself. And she was on IV for a couple of days, and she's now actually eating. She had breakfast for herself yesterday for the first time, and I don't know how long. She wasn't doing that the last time I saw her in person. So it's been a difficult time, and it's a decision to make about what to do next. Yeah, I don't know how much longer she has. And I tell you, for those of you who have loved ones in nursing homes, and for those of you who have loved ones who are suffering from dementia, as my mother is, it is more than tragic, especially when your loved one had such a strong and quick intellect in the prime of their lives. My mother, until the dementia took hold in a very real and terrible way, was a voracious reader, a great thinker, a wonderful debater, and somebody who always was willing to learn. You know, my mother was right about so many things that we used to debate in the 80s and 90s when I knew everything. And beware of people in their 20s and 30s who know everything, as I did. I knew it all. And I remember arguing with my mother about the endless wars, about Afghanistan, Iraq, and about George W. Bush wanting to go into Iraq and Afghanistan and regime changes and endless wars. And I was completely on the side of endless wars. In fact, I was in uniform at the time for most of the 90s, and I was 100% behind NATO expansion, 100% behind NATO's new mission. And did I imagine for a minute I would come to a point where I am today, where I am completely opposed to NATO's new mission of creating endless wars all over the world? And in endless expansion. We need to get back to peace. We need to get back to trade, prosperity, making money, not just creating weapons that are going to go up in smoke, spending billions of dollars on the military industrial complex. That's a word I never even used at one time. I thought it was left wing. I thought it was out there, fringe, crazy. But I tell you, I believe in it now because this is what the war in the Middle East and what the war in Ukraine is all about: making munitions people very rich and making corporations like Blacklock very, very rich in the aftermath. Blacklock wants to get in there like a parasite and suck up all of the minerals, all of the rights, and reconstruct that country and make trillions of dollars in the process. That's what that war is all about. We'll get to Zelensky later. I want to get back to Poilievre. My apologies for getting distracted here. I wanted to share that with you about my mom. I think she's doing so much better, but it just leaves me with the decision now about what to do with the future. And keep us in your prayers if that's something you do. And it's something I do. It's something my mother always did. I don't know if she's praying much today, but please keep us in your prayers. And I appreciate your comments for asking. So let's get back to haha. And by the way, yesterday we had Greg Wycliffe on. A lot of you thought he was a bit tough but strong on Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. Yeah, I thought he was too. But you know where I stand on this. I will criticize Pierre Poilievre when I need to. I'm not working for the Conservative Party. I'm not in the pocket of any politician or any political party. I will criticize if I need to, but I'll support him too when he needs my support. And I'll tell you, he's a much better alternative than Justin Trudeau. He's going to be the next prime minister, barring Justin Trudeau banning the next election or not having another election. He will be the next prime minister, barring some horrible upset. And we need to push him from the right. We need to keep saying, Pierre, remember you said this. But I'll tell you, Poilievre has committed himself to so much conservative policy. He's committed himself to doing so many principled conservative things that it would be very difficult, even if he had no intention of delivering on any of these promises, of doing so now. Because he has been so out there saying, I'm going to defund CBC. I'm going to axe the carbon tax, not just for individuals, for corporations too. And you've got people out there saying, oh, he's got a hidden agenda. He's just going to do it for individuals, not corporations. I know, so they don't know anything. The people who say this know nothing. They're not insiders. They don't know what they're talking about. So this is nonsense. So I think Greg went a little far, but it's a prerogative. This is a station about free speech. You want to come on here and say that? Fine. Don't say anything racist. Don't say anything obnoxious. Don't say anything that's truly disgusting and hateful. Criticism is not hate. But yes, there are parameters on this station. But I believe in free speech, and I believe in somebody who wants to express their opinion, so long as they do it rationally and coherently. That's fine with me. We need to criticize. We need to criticize the Conservatives from the right, but you have to ask yourself, of course, at some point when you do that, when do you just become a pain in the ass? When are you just seen as a persistent and chronic pain in the butt? And that is a question that I've wrestled with throughout my career as a critic of the left, as a critic of conservatives who capital C conservatives who don't want to be small c conservatives. I've wrestled with that opinion, with those issues all my life. I was proud of Pierre Poilievre yesterday because it's funny. Just after we did this interview yesterday morning, and both of us agreed that Pierre Poilievre's not doing enough on the Online Harms Act on Bill C-63, and he's not. He needs to do more. We need to encourage him to do more. We need to say, hey, this is even more important in the long run than the carbon tax. Free speech, yes. Free speech in the long run is a hell of a lot more important than any carbon tax or axing any carbon tax. It is integral to our basic democratic rights and freedoms in this country. No question. Don't forget that. Yes, we need to axe the carbon tax, but we need to axe Bill C-63, and we don't need a conservative imitation of the bill. We don't need a conservative version of Bill C-63 headed up by Michelle Rempel Garner. No, we don't need that. We need to kill the bill now before it gets to third reading. But even more important, because if it does get the third reading, it's going past. Because the NDP and the Bloc are going to support it. They love this bill. We need to have an election before then. God, I don't know how we're going to move the NDP and the Bloc. Because we saw the debate yesterday in House of Commons. The NDP, that coward of a leader, that absolute swindler of a leader, Jagmeet Singh, oh, we've ripped up the agreement. Yeah, right. He ripped up no agreement. But, as I led in the beginning with Pierre Poilievre, slamming CTV. This is my article in the Post Millennial yesterday. Pierre Poilievre slammed CTV over doctored interview clip. I can't think of a single instance where CTV or any mainstream media has actually apologized to a conservative leader and admitted they doctored the tape, that they spliced the tape, that this was dishonest journalism, that this was fabricated, this was fake news. CTV admitted, well, not in those words, but they apologized for the mistake. Now, I wonder if it was a mistake. Let's listen to Pierre Poilievre yesterday in the House of Commons, and then we'll listen to Justin Trudeau in New York City, coming back as slowly as he can because he knows he's got the NDP and the Bloc in his pocket.
Will be a carbon tax referendum, a carbon tax election. And I know that the media has worked hard to try and avoid me saying the words carbon tax, as we saw in the extremely dishonest and fraudulent report from Bell Media-controlled CTV, who's a company that is whose bonds have been downgraded to near junk status as its overpaid CEO empties the books to pay his wealthy friends an unacceptably and unrealistically high dividend. But the reason why he and his other cronies at that company are going after me is because he knows that I'm standing up for the people against the crony capitalists and insiders like him.
It's going to pause there for a second. What's he talking about? If you don't know, crony capitalists. Yes, these are the friends of Justin Trudeau who love the carbon tax. These are the friends of Justin Trudeau that he bailed out with multi-million-dollar payments that were supposedly going to CTV. And as part of his subsidization of the news media, to hire more reporters and to give them tax incentives. This is how Justin Trudeau has bought the mainstream media. He already owns CBC, $1.3 billion a year, but he has bought the mainstream media through subsidies, and he gives them money. So what did he do with Bell? He gave the money to Bell, and what did Bell do with them? Not hire no more reporters. They gave it to the executives. They gave it to the fat cat executives, the corporate elite who love Justin Trudeau. That's what Pierre Poilievre is talking about here. That's where the money went, not to the journalists. It didn't pay a single journalist salary. It didn't retain a single journalist job. Journalists are getting laid off and fired at record numbers at the mainstream media. You hear about it every week. Not the corporate bosses, not the executives, just like at CBC, where the CBC fires reporters, lays off reporters, but gives tremendously obscene bonuses to corporate executives so they can sit on their fat asses and continue to support Justin Trudeau. That's exactly what happens in the private sector with CTV and Bell Media. Yeah. So Poilievre is 100% correct here. Let's listen to him say some more about the non-confidence motion.
Carbon tax election. Here's the existential choice. Do we go to a 61 cent a litre carbon tax, making us among the highest taxed fuel in all of the world? A tax that will grind our economy to a halt, that will force our truckers to leave to the U.S. where there is no carbon tax. Nobody left to bring goods to our grocery store, parts to our factories, jobs to our people. It will be a nuclear winter.
Nuclear winter. People have said this is way over the top. This is hyperbole. That's where we're headed, folks. Canada is already taxed. According to a Fraser Institute report that I dealt with a couple of months ago quite extensively, we're already taxed at 43%. 43% of our income goes directly to taxes. This is going to, boost it probably to 45%, maybe higher?
This happens. That's why common sense conservatives will axe the tax. We will bring home jobs, paychecks, businesses, and opportunity with abundant, affordable energy. We will fight climate change and protect our economy with technology, not taxes, by approving large-scale green projects, carbon capture and storage, and other sources of affordable, clean Canadian energy.
Of course, he had to say this because otherwise the Liberals and NDP will say he's a climate change denier, which of course is like calling you a racist these days. Now, what is he really saying? It's code for saying we're not going to have climate change. We're not going to have climate change programs. We're going to have economic programs. We're not going to have green energy that doesn't work, that won't fulfill the needs of a modern economics or a modern industrialized nation. We're going to have green energy programs that actually work, that actually sustain the economy. So I think I didn't want to hear this, but he had to say it.
Will once again get approved when we repeal the anti-development law C-69, all of which will generate the revenues so that we can fix the budget. We will fix the budget by unleashing massive growth through the elimination of bureaucratic barriers and firing gatekeepers so that our projects can get built, setting the goal that all three levels of government should aspire to have the fastest building permits in the entire OECD. After 9 years of tax increases on entrepreneurs and calling businesses tax cheats, we will pass a bring it home tax cut to lower the burden on work, savings, and investment so that we bring home powerful paychecks and production to this country, lower, fairer, simpler taxes. We will cap government spending with a dollar-for-dollar law that requires we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. We'll cut bureaucracy, waste, and consulting contracts so that we can get the budget close to, or hopefully on balance as soon as possible to bring down interest rates, inflation, and debt. And finally, we will unleash the construction of homes by incentivizing municipalities to grant faster permits, free up land, and speed up and to cut development taxes so that we can build in safe neighborhoods with jail, not bail, for repeat violent offenders, to bring home the promise of Canada of a powerful paycheck that earns affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods where anyone from anywhere can do anything. The biggest and most open land of opportunity the world has ever seen. That is our vision. That is our purpose. Now, let's bring it home.
Sounds good to me. Of course, we know the NDP and the Bloc are not going to be supporting this motion today. And the cowardly NDP, which apparently just was posturing in the last 2 weeks about ripping up this agreement because they wanted to win a seat in Winnipeg. And Jagmeet Singh knew his leadership would be on the line if he lost that seat. This man is so tainted by ego and narcissism, it is nauseating. Whenever I see him talk about what he believes in, which is nothing, he believes in only Jagmeet Singh, I want to run to the bathroom and throw up. He is just so disgusting in the way he lies and in the way he continually attempts to squeeze out of tight positions that he's put himself in. This man has no intention of voting against Justin Trudeau unless he thinks his leadership is at stake, unless he thinks it's going to mean the end of his time as NDP leader. It really is remarkable how anybody with an anger management problem, by the way, who picked a fight with Poilievre the other day in the House of Commons, who was going to have a fist fight with him in the question period, who just about had a fist fight with a protester. And the man has an anger management problem, should be seeing a psychiatrist. There's something wrong here. And if this was a conservative acting like this, you can bet the mainstream media would be demanding he get treatment. But no, because he's Jagmeet Singh and he's the leader of the NDP, he's protected. It's okay. He can do these sorts of things, and nobody has to ask those uncomfortable questions about why he can't seem to control his anger. And the Bloc, I won't even go there today. The Bloc has no business sitting in the House of Commons. The Bloc has no business making decisions about the future of Canada. The Bloc has no business pretending to be a federal party for one day. It is a separatist party. It is opposed to Canada. It is trying to break up the country. The party is, by very definition, treasonous and traitorous. And it has no business making a path for Canada's future. How did Justin Trudeau react to all this? Well, Justin Trudeau is still in New York City. He should be back today for the vote. But Justin Trudeau, there he is, just as carefree and loquacious as ever. And he just doesn't seem to think there's anything to worry about here. It's all about Pierre Poilievre. He's just that lust for power that Pierre Poilievre has. Let's listen to him. The insouciant Justin Trudeau. There he is again. And shall we say that that the narcissistic boy prime minister.
Record was being debated on Parliament Hill. The Prime Minister was in New York, where he faced questions about his leadership.
And obviously, the Conservatives are very much thinking about power right now. I'm thinking about how we can best.
The Conservatives are thinking about power. Well, yes, in a way, of course. It's all about power, Justin. It's all about who controls the levers of power. What are you concerned about? You're the guy who said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving because I need to stay in power. Complete hypocrisy. Again, but do I need to tell you that? It's just so damn self-evident. This is a man who is obsessed with staying in power for the sake of staying in power. He has no agenda except free lunches for the kids, dental care for those who don't need it. I'm sorry, what else have you got? We're going to build homes on government land that's leased to developers. Yeah, that's a great agenda for the future. Yeah, we're going to keep bailing people out and putting them on the street so they can commit crimes again.
Help Canadians.
While the Liberals are poised to hold on to power for now, securing the continued support of other parties will come at a cost. The Bloc won a multi-billion-dollar boost to seniors' benefits, a move Trudeau's deputy isn't ruling out.
We are having good conversations about all possible economic measures with both the Bloc and the NDP, and those conversations are ongoing.
They're having good conversations with the separatists and the socialists, meaning they're going to sell you out again. Well, I'm not optimistic, but I hope Jagmeet Singh, not because he gives a damn about Canada or Canadians, not because he gives a damn about the future of this country, but because he knows he's going to be kicked out on his ass in the next election if he doesn't do something to look like he's at least a little bit independent of Trudeau and the Liberals. So that's our best bet, is that Jagmeet Singh will wake up, have a divine revelation of some kind that he needs to support Poilievre to bring down the Trudeau government for his own political survival, because that's the only phrase, political survival, that Jagmeet Singh understands and responds to. He has no political convictions. George Orwell used to talk about the parlor Marxists. These were the academics and the intellectuals and the elite who sat around the parlor discussing the coming revolution that was going to happen in England at some point. And he used to laugh at them because they had no inclination to actually go out and lead any revolution. They just wanted to sit in the living room and talk about it endlessly. This is what Jagmeet Singh is. Of course, today I would call them jacuzzi Marxists. They sit around in the jacuzzi sipping wine, Well, I don't know if Jagmeet drinks or not, but Jagmeet, jacuzzi Marxists in general, I'll put it that way. They sit around in the jacuzzi talking about how they're going to save the working class. Jagmeet does the same every time he opens his big mouth. He's there for ordinary Canadians, except he's never actually met one outside of a campaign stop. He has no idea who ordinary Canadians are. He doesn't understand, comprehend, have any empathy for the working class because he doesn't know them. He doesn't understand them because that's not the kind of people he socializes with. This is the guy with the Gucci accessories, with a BMW car, who has no conception about how hard people have to work to make a living. He's never had to do that. And he continues to pretend he's on the side of the working class and average Canadians. That's what's so nauseating about this man. And he pretends he's fighting for them right now. You saw him the other day in that video clip of the woman with the medical problems, who has family problems because of the vaccine. Jagmeet didn't give a damn. Got on his bike, rode away. And that's what he's doing today with this non-confidence vote. He's just getting on his bike and riding away and saying, to hell with Canada, to hell with Canadians, I'm voting for Jagmeet Singh. I'm voting with Justin Trudeau. I'm going to say I'm voting against the Conservatives, but we all know that's camouflage and it's nonsense. Anyway, I've ranted enough today. Thank you for joining Stand on Guard. I am standing on guard for you. I am standing on guard for this country as I did in uniform. I continue to do today. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow and maybe even tonight if I can find the time to come back about this non-confidence vote. I would love to do that. But until then, I'm here to give you all the news that you need to know.